Deadliest Catch Bloodline is a reality TV series currently airing on Discovery Channel. Created as a spin-off from the popular docu-series Deadliest Catch, the show follows the fisherman Josh Harris and his business partner Casey McManus and Jeff Silva as they investigate the life of Josh's father, Phil. The story, which Bloodline follows, starts after the remodeling of the boat Cornelia Marie, during which Josh Harris found his late father's Hawaiian fishing charts detailing a multi-million-dollar Kona fishery. Josh and Casey then venture to the Kona coast in search of yellowfin tuna, while learning about Phil Harris's past. There, they team up with local fisherman Jeff Silva and Jonathan Hillstrand, the former co-captain of the Time Bandit, featured in the original Deadliest Catch series, who helped uncover the possible motives behind Phil's time spent on Hawaii. At the beginning of Season 1, we were introduced to Jeff Silva, a local fisherman from Hawaii who struggles to sell fish as COVID-19 related regulations slowed down tourism in the region, and consequently the need for fish, more than 2,500 miles away in Seattle, Washington State. Josh Harris told his brother Jake about their father's secret business in Hawaii, and we learned that their father left behind a collection of maps detailing the locations of the most valuable fish in Hawaiian waters. Josh's plan was to go for a fishing trip to Hawaii himself, following Phil's maps. To learn even more about his father, Josh collected all of his belongings from their old family house in North Dakota. One of Josh's and Jake's biggest discoveries is that their father spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, Nevada, after initially thinking that he might have been a gambler. Unbeknownst to them, the brothers eventually figured out that there could be another reason behind these trips. Namely, Las Vegas is home to some of the best restaurants in the country and has the largest market for seafood in the continental US, estimated more than $100 million per year. Perhaps Phil was actually visiting Vegas to sell his fish? To test the claim, Josh and his close friend and business partner Casey McManus headed out to Sin City, where they visited various restaurants and talked to their head chefs in hopes of finding out whether there really is a market for high-end fish. While the chefs were mostly skeptical about their offer to buy fish at $45 per pound, they did land a customer who ordered 1,000 pounds, around 455 kilograms, of ahi and mahi-mahi. Josh and Casey then traveled to Hawaii, where they met up with Jeff Silva, who agreed to help them fill the order. They were off to a strong start until the boat was damaged during one of their trips. After lots of deliberating, the guys agreed not to fix the boat, and to instead buy a bigger one. The boat Josh chose cost more than $360,000, so to pay for it, they partnered with Phil's old friend, Jonathan Hillstrand. Recapping Season 2, Josh headed back to Hawaii for a second year, but before that, he reunited with his brother Jake. After arriving at Hawaii and spending 14 days quarantined in their hotel rooms, Josh and Casey went fishing with Jeff on the open sea. Jonathan soon joined the group and took Josh under his wing. Together, they managed to catch lots of valuable fish, but had to figure out how to transport it safely. The only viable solution seemed to be a private plane ride, offered by a very sketchy man Jonathan came into contact with. But luckily, everything went according to plan, and Chef Barry seemed astounded by the quality of fish he received. In fact, he was so happy with his order that he recommended Josh and his crew to 6 of his business partners. Of course, this was an amazing opportunity, but also meant that they had to put even more work into filling the orders. Back in Hawaii, we're shown Josh meeting up with Bob Tremaine, an old friend of Phil's, who might have valuable insight into Phil's business there. Bob revealed that he and Phil met while crab fishing in Alaska, and Josh concluded that it might have been Bob's idea to try test Hawaiian waters. As Josh and his crew were about to embark on a fishing trip, they realized that their competition is a lot tougher compared to the last year, as tourism in Hawaii flourished since travel restrictions became more relaxed. So local demand for fish increased 300%. In hopes of catching more fish, they decided to go further from the shore compared to the other fishermen, but quickly realized they had to deal with literal sharks in the open waters. As fulfilling the Vegas order started to seem impossible, Josh consulted with Bob, who told him that they could catch up to 6,000 pounds of fish on a good day if they take advantage of seamounts, small volcanoes which are fully submerged in water. According to Bob, seamounts create a current which moves up the side of volcanoes, dragging up food, which in turn attracts lots of fish. Josh bought a bigger boat again, which he named Cornelia Marie, to give the new tactic a try, and actually achieved a lot of success. Now in Season 3, we follow Josh and the rest of the group as they try to meet the new demand of 3,000 pounds of fish per week, while using Phil Harris's old maps as a reference. The newest season of Deadliest Catch, Bloodline, also delivers a lot more emotional and exciting moments. The premiere of the season sees Josh reaching out to his estranged older brother, Shane, whom he hadn't talked to since their father's passing. According to Discovery Channel, Josh and Shane were close in their childhood years, but after his divorce, Phil remarried and the two half-brothers went their separate ways. Now this was an opportunity for Shane to join Josh, Casey, and Jeff on a fishing adventure that will hopefully rebuild their brotherly bond, as well as providing them with a big payday. Very little is actually known about Shane, who isn't even listed as Phil's son on his Wikipedia page. During the season, Shane reveals more about Phil, as he witnessed his formative years fishing in the 1980s. During this time, Phil was still living in Louisiana and building his famous ship. In the promo, we can see the Harris brothers leaving Hawaii and exploring the Gulf Coast, searching for answers about their father's life. So who is Josh Harris? The main star of Bloodline was born in March 1983, the eldest son of Phil and Mary Harris, and has an older half-brother named Shane and a younger brother Jake. He has been appearing alongside his father in Deadliest Catch and a spin-off since 2007, while honing his fishing skills. After his father's passing in 2010, he took over as co-captain of his father's ship, Cornelia Marie, and subsequently earned his captain's license. In 2014, he and his brother Jake co-wrote and published a book about their father, entitled Captain Phil Harris, the legendary crab fisherman. Our hero, our dad. From his relationship with Jenna Bullis, Josh has a daughter named Kinsley Ella Harris, whom he often features in his Instagram photos. It's unclear whether Josh is still with Kinsley's mother. As of May 2022, Josh's net worth has been estimated at more than $800,000. Now, what happened to Josh's father, Phil Harris? He'd been fishing since the age of 8. Then after matriculating high school in 1974, he started working on a crab boat as an unpaid deckhand, slowly making his way to the top. At the age of 21, he was one of the youngest crab fishing boat captains on the Bering Sea. In 2004, Phil and his boat began appearing in Deadliest Catch, starting with the Opilio crab period of Season 1. And so in Season 2, Phil's Cornelia Marie became one of the main fixtures of the show. 4 years later, in 2008, Phil was thrown off his bed during a storm and thought he'd broken his ribs, as he started coughing up blood and required urgent medical care. The doctors concluded that he suffered a pulmonary embolism, a blockage of an artery in the lungs, which forced him to take a year-long break from fishing. On the 29th of January 2010, during filming of an episode of Season 6, Phil went to his stateroom to retrieve medication, but collapsed as a result of a stroke. A member of the ship's crew found him on the floor, conscious, but unable to move the left side of his body. He called for his sons Josh and Jake while they waited for the paramedics to arrive. According to the series producer Tom Beers, Phil insisted that the camera crew continue to film him, saying, "Dude, you've got to. We've got to have an end to the story. You want to film this. Film this." They honored his wish and continued to film until Phil was taken to the hospital. He underwent emergency brain surgery, but succumbed to stroke complications on the 9th of February 2010. As seen on the show, Phil was a long-time chain smoker, which probably contributed to his declining health. He had a New Orleans-style jazz funeral at which the Soul Rebels brass band performed the song After the Catch, written in his honor. One of the main issues Deadliest Catch and its spin-off shows highlight are the dangers of commercial fishing. In 2006, the Bureau of Labor Statistics ranked it as the single profession with the highest mortality rate, with 141.7 deaths per 100,000, which is 75% higher than pilots, loggers, and flight engineers. Alaskan king crab fishing is even more dangerous than other kinds of commercial fishing, due to the harsh environment conditions in the Bering Sea. The pilot episode of Deadliest Catch reveals that nearly one fisherman dies every week during the peak of crab fishing seasons, while the injury rate is nearly 100%. In 2005, it was reported that the fatality rate of Alaskan crab fishers is over 300 deaths per 100,000, with roughly 80% caused by either hypothermia or drowning. As opposed to the original series, Deadliest Catch Bloodline focuses more on the Hawaiian fishing industry. Although the island state is primarily known as a tourist spot, commercial fishing is a very important sector of the local economy. It's estimated that each year, more than 30 million pounds of fish are pulled from the sea, with a total value of over $110 million. Hawaii is the biggest supplier of swordfish and big-eye tuna in the US, and the industry also indirectly employs a number of mechanics, electronics companies, and chandleries, among others. Hawaiian waters offer a wide variety of fish, ranging from near-shore catches such as oplu and uhu to the highly valued open sea fish such as mahi-mahi, yellowfin tuna, and opa. Local fishermen apply different techniques for fishing, the most notable being long lining. Instead of a wide net usually associated with commercial fishing, they use a long mainline with baited hooks attached at intervals. However, in recent years, the fishing industry in Hawaii has had to deal with a lower demand during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as increasing regulations, particularly the rules stemming from the Marine Mammals Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act. There are conflicting reports on where the fish caught in Hawaii actually end up, with some stating that as much as 99% of the fish is consumed locally, while the others state that a significant amount is sold in mainland US, Canada, and Japan. During peak season, a typical workday for a Hawaiian fisherman can last up to 18 to 20 hours, so the fishermen often subject themselves to dangerously low hours of sleep. Furthermore, the weather conditions on the open sea pose a significant danger and frequently damage even the most valuable boats. Deadliest Catch Bloodline airs on Discovery Channel on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. ET. It's available for streaming on Discovery Plus, as well as Fubo TV and Philo.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.